Hello Stampers with Art Stars, and welcome to our first Make and Take project for our December 14, 2016 Facebook team event. If you RSVP'd in time, you will have received a Make and Take packet, and in there you have supplies for two different Make and Takes. These are the supplies that you're going to pull out for our first Make and Take. You'll need the black cardstock that is cut to 6 inches by 10 inches. You'll also need a sampling of the Inside the Lines Designer Series paper from our Sale-a-Bration catalog. You'll need the straw, and hopefully it's not flat. I put it in a padded envelope this time, hoping that we would not flatten that out. And we also have some punched circles from Real Red cardstock and the Watermelon Wonder Color. So here are the pieces that you would need if you're going to replicate this project. I got two 6 by 10 pieces from our 12 by 12 black, and of course you need those two colors of cardstock. You need the basic black ink. That's for stamping our little message from So in Love. You could also use Enjoy or With You if you are, or this one here, if you're going to use this stamp set. You get a few different images from that fit inside these circles. And the circle punches that I used are the 1 1/4 inch and the 1 3/8 inch circle punch. I also used, of course, the Inside the Lines Designer Series paper. And this is different. You get, instead of getting 6 designs, you get 4 and 3 of each. So it goes a lot further if you're going to plan any kind of project for a class or a workshop or something like that, because you don't have to buy as many packs to get as many of the same sheet. That's a good thing. Okay, so we're going to start by grabbing the tools that I need you to use. So from your own stash, please pull out a ruler, any type of ruler as long as it has inches, a pencil. You'll need a hole punch, and this is the 1/4 inch size hole punch. You'll need some strong adhesive. I'm using Fast Fuse. You could use the tear and tape. You'll need some 8-dimensional, and then you'll also need the Stampin' trimmer. This first project is actually going to be a 3D little box. Now you could probably make a card out of this if you want to, and please, I encourage you, if you want to do something completely different with your supplies that I gave you, please do. I would love to see your ideas. I'd love to see you share them in our Facebook group so that we can see what kinds of things we can make with the same products. And of course, speaking of products, we're using new things from our new occasions, our upcoming 2016 occasions catalog and Sale-a-Bration brochure. And the two new products are the So in Love stamp set and the Inside the Lines Designer Series paper. The Sale-a-Bration product is the paper, and the occasions catalog product is the stamp set. So you'll need your trimmer with a scoring blade for making the score lines in your box piece. I could have done all of this ahead of time, but it would have taken me forever to prepare your supplies. So, and this way, you know, if you do it with me, you will know how to make this box over and over again in the future. So you're going to score, and you're going to score in thinking of 2-inch size squares all the way. So if we have a 6 by 10 inch piece, we're going to be able to get 3 sections going this way and 5 sections going this way. So let's go ahead and insert our cardstock into our paper trimmer so that we have our one of our long sides parallel with the actual scoring blade. And let's go ahead and put it to the 2-inch mark and score. You can turn it around and think 2 inches again and score. Or you can shove it in further and score at 4 inches. Either way, you will have 2-inch sections going across that way. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing going the opposite way. Now I already have a score line for you so that I could fit it into the envelope, and I have that at the 4-inch mark. So we'll go ahead and score here at 2 inches. It's already scored at 4, and if you move it again, you can score it at 6 inches. And then if you don't want to open up the arm on your trimmer, you can flip it around and do that last score line at 2 inches on this side. Or if you do have the arm open, just score it again at 8. So you have 2, 4, 6, 8, or 2 and 4 and 2 and 4, depending on which direction you come in from. Okay, now we're going to do some cutting. So to do the cutting, sometimes it's easier to cut and score at the same time, but we're going to try to line it back up real carefully here. And we're going to imagine kind of like an arrow piece. So this piece is going to, this section here is going to be the top of the arrow, and this is going to be the stick part of our arrow. So we actually want to trim along the stick. Here's the score line that we made. We want to shove it in a little bit further, 3/8 of an inch over. So now our mark, if you look closely at my trimmer, let's see if I can share it there. There we go. Is at 4 3/8 inches. Now we'll go ahead and trim up to past the first score line, past the second, and up to that third one. Okay? We're going to do the same thing for the opposite side of this score line. So instead of having it at 2 inches, which was what the score line is on, we're going to move it this way, 3/8 of an inch. So now, if I hold this up here, it will show 1 5/8 inches, which is 3/8 of an inch away from the 2-inch mark. And we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to cut going past the first, second, and up to that third score line here. Okay, and this is where I said, this is where I meant to say, it's easiest to cut and score at the same time, because on this line, we could actually cut, score, cut, which is what we want to do. But I just had you score so that you could see the actual shape of everything. So you're going to cut up to that first score line, you're going to score to the second, and then you're going to place your cutting blade down, and you're going to cut all the way, the rest of the way. So it should be cut, score, cut. And now we can remove these two pieces. You won't need them, you can use them for something else. Now we're going to make some score lines going this direction. Now you have this middle square, here I'll hold it up a little higher. You have this middle square piece here, and you have this one and this one here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this square as a guide, and we're going to just focus on one of the corner pieces here and think diagonal. So from this point to this point to this point, where they all intersect, we're going to do a score line from here to here. But use this middle square as a guide. That way you can make sure that it's going straight all the way. So we're going to place this in here so that we can see the intersections of this point and the point of that. And again, we'll line it all up in the middle of our trimmer here. Make sure we've got that all in there. Now don't score across the middle, just score across that outside square. So this is what you should have. Let's see if I, there we go. Okay, and now we'll do the same thing on this corner, that corner square piece. And now we have those two marks there. Now we're going to cut going from here to here. So we want a diagonal cut going there. What I'm doing is lining up this little part with that little part where these lines meet the edge of the cardstock. And we're going to actually trim. We're not going to score, so I'm moving my scoring blade out of the way, and we're going to trim going across. You don't need that corner. And you don't need that corner. So move those out of the way. Okay? So now we should have what looks like an arrow. We're going to do some cutting now with our snips or our scissors. Forgot to tell you needed that. Go grab that. Okay, so let's first do some folding. That way our score lines will be working. So we're going to just do some folding along all of these score lines here. And on this one, you can actually score like that. Okay. Or fold like that. Okay, now we're going to come in, and these are going to become tabs. This piece and this piece are going to become tabs. So we want to just angle cut slightly to remove a little bit of cardstock there so it's easier to fold in that tab. And then this piece and this piece are going to become tabs, so we can cut kind of a little triangle out of there. And then for here, instead of cutting a triangle, because this last section is not going to become a tab, just kind of angle cut into it, because we want to make sure that these become tabs. But then the rest of this, we'll just slice. And this is actually one of the top pieces to our box. The top flap. Okay. One more thing that we need to do to prepare our box before we start decorating is to take our ruler and pencil, and we're going to measure. Here. So from this score line right here to this point, or from this score line to this point, should be 1 inch. And what you'll want to do, or it's about 1 inch, and what you'll want to do is make a little mark. I had to zoom in so you could see better, but also we're having this distraction with black cardstock. Black cardstock is hard to see in videos, I'm sorry about that. So we're going to make a little mark right at the mark that's just above the 1/2 inch. So right around there. So from here to right over the 1/2 inch mark is a little 1/16 inch mark that's about right there, okay? And you don't have to do that to both sides. You can just do it to one of them. It doesn't matter which one. In fact, here, we'll do this one instead on this one. So from this point to the edge where it's scored is about 1 inch, and you want to mark just over that 1/2 inch mark at the 1/16 inch mark, okay? So there's our other mark. And then we'll use our hole punch. We're going to fold this, and we'll use our hole punch so that we can see through the bottom, and we're going to punch a circle right there where that mark is. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Do you see that? There we go. All right, we're ready to decorate. Now you're going to take this piece here. This is that designer paper that I gave you, and it's just under 2 inches because I want it to become a panel, a little layer on top of your 3 of your sections there. So it's 6 inches, but it's just under 2. It's actually 1 7/8 inches. So if you can find that same 1 7/8 inch mark on your trimmer, you can trim out 3 of them. Keep them in order as you're trimming them though, because we want them to connect. We want the images to connect around the box. So we're going to trim 1, 2, and 3. And you'll notice I started on this end because some of the edges of the paper don't have a complete design that continues on. It has kind of that little white edge there. So you probably don't want to use that piece. So keep those in order, and we're going to apply those to our box. This is becoming the front of the box right here. So we're going to start with the middle one. When using fast fuse, as we have started to learn, you want to twist it or flick it at the end to get it to cut off. That stuff is really strong adhesive, and it's hard to separate. Not like the snail adhesive. Snail adhesive, you just pull that right off, right? You don't even have to twist it or snap it. Okay, and then we're going to add that one here. And the other one goes on the opposite side right there. Before I move on, I just want to give credit to a fellow demonstrator who is in Germany. Her name is Melanie Sicker, and this is her blog address. Now, I looked it up, and she also has another blog that was at blogspot.com instead of .de. So I'm not sure where this project is, but she posted it on the demonstrator party planning group on Facebook. And so that's where I got the pattern for this. It was in centimeters. I converted it to inches. So it's slightly bigger than the one that she shared. Let's go ahead and add some fast fuse to the back of this circle and add that to our real red circle, and then we'll put a dimensional on the back of that and add that to the center here. And now we'll use our fast fuse, and we'll just go ahead and add that along these tabs. Now we'll take and fold our box together. So we'll go ahead and start with this first tab and connect that to the bottom edge of this outside square. We'll do the same thing to this bottom edge of this outside square. And then we'll bring this piece back and around so you can see it's starting to form the box now. And this one back and around. This flap just folds in like this, but it allows you to open up the box, and then this flap goes down like that, and this part up here sticks out, and this is where you're going to put your straw through as sort of like a little handle to your box. So it looks like this. Here, we'll just give this an extra fold here. So it looks like that. My straw that I sent you in the mail is a little on the skinny side. I'm sure that you could probably find a standard size straw that would fit in that hole better. But another option is to take some ribbon. So if you decide not to use the straw idea, you can grab some ribbon, and I have some of our real red ribbon and our stitch satin. And I'm just going to cut off about 14 inches worth. And you can take and put the ribbon through instead and do either a knot or a bow. A bow would make it easier for the recipient to open and then reclose again. So you can just go like that and leave these long if you want them to be able to close it again. But there's the finished box. I have another example to show you. So using that same stamp set, I made this box here, and this is using that succulent ribbon. So let me zoom in here a bit. Here's the ribbon pack that comes in the Occasions catalog called Succulent Garden 3/8 inch ribbon combo pack, and it has a very vanilla color and then the sugar plum color. And so I added that to the top, have sugar plum back here. This is Blushing Bride, which is a great lighter version. It's not exactly the same purple, but it does really well with that color. And then I stamped the So in Love image from that stamp set. Added a couple rhinestones. The circle's slightly larger. I used the 1.5 inch circle punch and layered that with the one that is on the real red here, the 1 3/8 inch. Here is a photograph of the boxes that Melanie Sicker had created and shared on the Demonstrator Party Planning group on Facebook. She used the stamp set Playful Backgrounds on page 121 in the annual catalog. So she shared these right when the annual catalog came out in the summer, and I hung on to this picture so I could recreate these boxes in inches later on, which I'm finally sharing with you, obviously. If you do not have the 1.5 inch circle punch, I just wanted to point out that you can also use a couple of the other images from that set like I had mentioned before. This would look just as cute on that sugar plum box. And one other tip is if you trim down this straw just a bit, it doesn't look as top heavy. So those are the 3 boxes. Thank you. Make sure that you watch the video for Make and Take number 2.